Oh god. In 2018, a highly disturbing but overall pretty mediocre anime arrived in the form of Mao Shoujo Site. And when it came out, I watched it and it was fine. Nothing outstanding, and it didn't really create that much of a crazy hype around itself either. Maybe it was its messed up interpretation of magical girls, or the legit banger opening, or Nana herself, or something else, but I found myself thinking about this anime from time to time, like a toxic ex you can't escape from. So I sat down and read the manga. No, not the anime, because I knew that the anime didn't finish the story, and the anime got a different story than the manga. So I went back to the source material, and oh boy, it was an experience if nothing else. But what is Mahou Shoujo Site? Should you read it? If yes, why not? And if no, why? And if that sentence made no sense, just remember that it made more sense than this manga will. Mahou Shoujo Site was written and drawn by Sato Kentaro, a 38-year-old mangaka, and his second project was Mahou Shoujo Site. And he probably haven't made anything noteworthy before it, so let's just focus on Mahou Shoujo Site, shall we? So we have this little girl called Asagiri Aya, who is bullied every single day in school in the most messed up ways possible. They beat her up, they vandalize her desk, dunk her head into the toilet, and make her eat dirt and bugs. And after going home, she has no rest. Her older brother abuses and beats her up every night, because he has to meet his crazy father's expectation in school, so he has to calm down somehow. Her only happiness in life is this cute, innocent, homeless cat she likes and takes care of it in secret. But that gives her little to no closure. This is her life every single day. Living like this obviously makes her feel like, well, not wanting to live anymore. Day after day, torture puts a toll on everybody's body and especially mine. But what if I told you that you could end this misery with magic? One night, a mysterious site pops up on her PC and tells her that all her problems can be solved with a magical wand she will receive shortly. The next day, she finds that the cat she found her only happiness in life is dead. Killed by Sarina, the main bully of the bullies who bullies her from bully reasons, and did this just to mess with Aya even more. After arriving to school, she finds a weirdly shaped gun in her locker, takes it and goes to classes. And then comes the first breaking point for Aya, when the bullies get an older guy to, grape her. And that's when she can't take it anymore and runs away. But her hiding doesn't last for long before they find her, and right then and there she does what the note said when she got the gun. Just pulls the trigger. In a heart-shaped cloud, both bullies disappear into thin air. The crowd on the crossing stops and screams out of fear when they see the dead bodies of two middle school students who just got hit by the train this very moment. And thus, Asagiri Aya became a magical girl. And Aya is not the only one to get a wand. There are a lot of them, but one thing is common in all of them. They had to watch their parents being killed, having an incurable disease, being kidnapped as a child, or just not getting the fucking bike for Christmas. And as a second chance in life, they get magical powers. Oh, how nice! I bet this manga will be about them fighting against evil and finally being happy with their lives and finding the bestest friends along the way, but nothing comes for free, and being a magical girl isn't just playing and funsies. Every time they use their magical powers, they use up their life energy as well, and when that runs out, well, bye-bye. And mainly this is what this manga is all about at the beginning. Girls with messed up pasts getting these magical wands that can be anything. A phone, a broom, a katana, a goddamn panty, and trying to figure out what the Tempest is, which I completely forgot to mention so far. Oh well, my bad. It's not like it's important or anything, it's just the end of the world, happens every Tuesday, and there is a countdown for it when it's going to happen on the Mahou Shoujo site. Oh, that's the name of the manga. Throughout the story we meet other magical girls, but one of them is special to Aya. Yatsumura Tsuyuno. Yatsumura has the power to stop time, like an other blonde anime character. She becomes a magical girl before Aya, so she teaches her what it means to be a magical girl, and she warns Aya about the magical hunter who is hunting magical girls because apparently the magical girl who used the most wands will survive the Tempest. But wait, let's just think for a second. It's already 2025, and we still don't have color pictures of the moon. But also, if using wands kills you over time, doesn't that mean that even if Tempest hits and you survive, it doesn't matter because you will die anyway of short lifespan? Just what is this site? What do they want? Who are they? Just who is this good looking cutie right here who gave Aya and Yatsumura their wands? She is Nana. You might also know her from the 1966 hit classic but since that series ended a while ago, she's been busy distributing ones to girls who have no will to live anymore. She is one of the admins of the site, and there's a total of 18 of them, and all of them have the most bizarre appearance and I love them. They are weird and creepy and crazy. Just look at this guy, or this one. I don't think there's a single bad design amongst them. What is that? But Nana is special, not only because she's the one who gives the powers to the protagonists, but because she sympathizes with humans, and no other admins do that. Ever. But I'll talk about admins a little bit later. Deal? Deal. Alright, so now that we've got that, let's talk about another quirk of this manga. After a second breaking point where all hope is lost with the battle against the admins, we switch to another group of girls out of nowhere, and then you have to care about these guys. But I just couldn't. I get the idea of stopping the main plot with a cliffhanger just to make the audience read more of it, but that was the point when the manga lost me a little. Suddenly every character knows everything because they, and I quote, searched it up online. But if it's that easy to look up every single detail about a murder or the backstory of a random schoolgirl, then why not just look up how to be happy? Because apparently everything is just researchable online for these characters. Aya and Yatsumura looking up the Tempest while they could just use WikiHow how to be happy. You have to create a positive mindset. You have to love yourself. You have to stop comparing yourself to others. You have to accept negative emotions and eat pizza. You have to bake a cake. You have to join a club or meetup that's related to your interest to make friends, such as cats. You have to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. Good one. You have to work out to get rid of the calories from the cake you just baked. You have to arm wrestle. You have to like and subscribe. There are retcons in this arc of the story as well, because Kaio's power is to copy another ability, and they clearly say that how once you copy an ability, you can't erase it from the wheel. But later on, she can clearly erase the powers she copied. So this arc of the manga is a little bit of a mess in my opinion, but after this storyline merges with Aya's story, it becomes kinda comprehensible and acceptable, even if it's a little out of nowhere. And I won't even talk about the subplot here with a crazy, gay, grapefruit-loving cop, because then the video will be double the length, but you are welcome to read it. And what else will you need besides happiness? Oh, answers. Answers for a question I left unexplored until now, because, to be honest, I'm too afraid to answer. Let's talk about where the admins came from. So you want to know more about Nana and how these hellish crazy creatures are born, right? Then you can read the Mahou Shoujo site Sept, a spin-off manga for the series. It's a story of two girls, Nagatsuki Hyoka and Takahashi Tsurura. And this manga, this manga is, oh god. The whole manga series goes for shock factor because none of the main or side characters are mentally well. No one is sane in this manga. Everyone is either a psychopath, a serial killer, or both. If there is a character you think it's normal, think again. If you think she loves you, think again. So, we have Hyoka and Tsurura who have to get ready for the tennis tournament, which will be held in September. Oh, that's the name of the manga again. They are best friends, working hard, fighting for the place in the tournament, but Tsurura finds out that she is pregnant, and the child is none other than the tennis coaches. This, without a doubt, would make everyone qualified to get a wand from the Mahou Shoujo site. She gets a weirdly shaped drill, and when she has nowhere to go after she tells the coaches what happened, she shoots the man. Hyoka, upon noticing this, swears that she will carry the burden together with Tsurura and help her get money for the abortion. She mugs and hurts people and drains her own life energy just to get the money for her friend. In the meantime, Tsurura falls more and more into despair, feeling like it's all over, and thinks that she has nothing to lose if she confesses to the boy she likes, Akai, and they immediately do it in the park. You guys will catch a cold, and that completely breaks Tsurura, and she convinces herself that the baby isn't from the coach, but from Akai, and thus wants to keep the baby, which makes Hyoka's effort and suffering meaningless. And then one day the whole school finds out about Tsurura's affair with the coach, and everyone starts bullying her, even the boy she confessed to. And then, for one final effort to somehow end this madness, She tells Akai that she's pregnant with his child. Akai refuses and tells her the worst single thing you can say in this situation. Why don't you just die? And Tsurara just does that because she feels like it's all over for her. She has nowhere to go, nothing to do. Oh, and then Hyoka uses up her life energy and becomes Nana. Here's your answer. Yeah, it's dumb. I tried making it seem dark and meaningful, which it would be if it was in real life. But the story just makes wild swings left and right, trying to get that shock factor I was talking about as much as it can. But what that leads to is that it misses the mark completely. It does not even have an official English translation, which leaves us with beautiful stuff like this, which is actually kind of funny, but it makes even less sense than it usually would, and it kills that edge that it would have. And this adds to the feeling why MSSS is a meh SSS. Don't read it, it's not that good. I can appreciate the fact that they had an extra character for world building at the very end of the manga, who never appears again, to show us that there are a lot more girls like this in this universe whose stories we'll never hear, but they exist. But you know what else I can appreciate? When a manga is not afraid to kill its main characters. And here, they kill them like there's no tomorrow. I mean, for them there isn't because they are dead, but like, you know. The cast itself, like I said, is mentally derailed. We already talked about Aya and what she had to go through, but I won't talk about her now. Instead, I want to show you two characters who, after getting their wands, chose to take revenge on their wrongdoers, but got two different outcomes. And for both of them, another person was needed to get them out of that dark hole they were in. Nijimi was a happy little child who loved being on stage and in the spotlight, and at home she had a happy family. Her dad got into trouble with some loan sharks, but it seemed like everything is going to be fine. But like, she got a wand, so you can probably guess that it didn't end up fine. One day, after arriving back from school, she found her dad hanging out, and not with some friends, but from the ceiling. He couldn't take it anymore. Nijimi got into a state of extreme despair, and all she wanted is to take revenge on the loan sharks. And after getting the panty stick, which can control people's mind, she made her family forget about her dad, so they can live happily, because if they remember that day, they won't be able to smile again. And as soon as the loan sharks appeared again, she went berserk to kill them. Her friend was the one who saved her from actually doing it and encouraged her to follow her dreams and be an idol with the kind of power she has. So she joined the idol group Poppy Play and used her power to make herself famous. And yes, Poppy Play, as in Poppy Play. They dress up as dogs and you can adopt them. You can adopt the various idols and moving on. And then there is Yatsumura, who also had a happy family life, but one day her parents got killed when she was a kid. And after getting her time-stopping wand, she only had revenge on her mind. And the fact that now she doesn't have any parents, so she has to figure out how to pay taxes and rent all by herself, but mostly revenge. But in her life, there was no one to stop her, so she captured a man and tortured him as much as she could, making sure that he suffered every day. She didn't even care if she depletes all her life energy because she got the revenge she wanted. She met Aya too late to have someone important in her life to show her an alternative path. Because while Yatsumura is ruthless, Aya would never hurt anyone. Which will go to the other extreme, but we'll get to that later. But at least Aya could show Yatsumura some love and happiness, so she could take a break from all the pain and suffering in her life. And eventually, even she could find peace and happiness. Even if only for a day. And Aya finally found her first friend. Someone she could finally feel safe around and doesn't need to be terrified of being beaten up or bullied. She could open up to Yatsumura, and not surprisingly, they started to feel more than just friends. Which is cute, they both deserve it, good for them. Well, more or less, until it's not. Aya's second breaking point comes when she loses the only person she ever got care from. And it leaves her in such a trauma that she loses her voice and can't speak through words. But she learns that she can transfer her thoughts to other people with her gun. And also life energy, because I guess the author realized they all had like 3 days worth of life energy max, so they had to extend it somehow. And all of the girls start to master their wands to the fullest, which we literally see nothing of. We just see how overpowered they get after a while. And after this, Aya becomes a messiah between the magical girls who can do nearly anything. Give life, help anyone she can, and be as pacifist as she can. And the main characters from the other storyline seek her out for help like she's Jesus' morning breath, and because I guess they somehow knew about her immense powers. So an all-out battle starts between the girls and the admins because the girls figured out that the end of the world is probably not that fun and want to stop it from happening. And not long after, she goes home to protect her family from one of the admins. That's when her third breaking point comes to her. She goes home and learns that the family she thought was hers isn't actually hers and she was adopted. And that she had a twin sister, Yatsumura, the girl she loved and cared for the most, was in fact her twin sister. Well, oops. And also, the beam panel comes up here too. But after a fierceful fight, the tempest starts anyway, and everyone who never used the wand turns into sperm and flies away. So now the gang needs to face off the admins and the king of the site, who is also a little girl, and the only reason I wanted to mention it because I really like her design. That's all. And one thing that this manga does phenomenally, and I still haven't mentioned it, is portraying motion. The paneling, pacing, and timing is really something else, which is really hard to do in a manga because the speed is determined mostly by the reader's own speed. But just look at these pages. Even when there's a 2v3 fight, it's really easy to follow and engaging all the way through. You don't have to go back for panels to double check what just happened. You just read it and you understand everything. And you even feel the speed and the motion the actions takes place at. And it's not only this fight that's good with it. There are other scenes that create motion like this when I'm like, wow, that's really cool. It's not a perfect manga, but there are some genuine moments and raw feelings portrayed in there which were amazing to experience. And yes, Aya has a lot of cool moments like that are really powerful emotionally, but the character that has the most of these scenes is Sarina, the bully girl. Like every bully ever, she doesn't really have a good reason to justify what she's doing, but she has the best conversations with Aya. For one of them, the other is just an annoying brat. Meanwhile, from the other perspective, the other is the main reason for her suffering in life and is scared from her. But then there is one scene when Aya is protected and can be hurt by Sarina, and that's when her true feelings come out, because she doesn't have to be afraid of her anymore. All that pent-up anger, hatred, suffering, and other synonyms for these words can finally come out, and the two of them can go all out while the building is collapsing around them. And to go from this pure hatred to being nemesis to one another, to fully rely on the other, is a really cool thing to see. Usually when I watch an anime, and more so when I'm reading a manga, I just sit in one place and doesn't really react to anything what's going on. But when I saw them fighting against the admins as a duo and finally having to rely on one another, and especially this panel, was an amazing thing to see, and I got more hyped than ever before reading a manga. So the epic battle and more epic panels show up as we get closer and closer to the grand finale of the manga. But then this random Johnny shows up who we never seen before, and him being here indicates that he used a wand before because he is not a sperm flying to the sky. And this is where my mental breakdown arc starts, because before Mahou Shoujo Site, Sato Kentaro, the mangaka, wrote another Mahou Shoujo story called Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse or Mahou Shoujo of the End, and this could have been just a fun Easter egg from his previous work. But no! If I really wanted to cover this manga, I had to read Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse too. In Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse, the first chapter starts out really similar to Sight, with how the main character goes through their everyday life and the girl is being bullied in the bathroom. And moving on, because I refuse to talk about another girl being bullied in a bathroom again, and I think this video already has enough scenes in it, which is not really applicable for 4 kids. So this black-haired young man is Kogami Ki, who hates life and people because, as he says, we are predictable and boring. Waking up, going to school, not enjoying classes, having a crush who may or may not like him, going home, sleeping, and doing it all over again. If only there would be someone or something to break this mundanity. Oh look, what a cute little Lolita girl. I'm sure she won't do any— BANG! And with that, the Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse has begun. Oh wow, that's the third name drop in this video. Huh. Now our heroes have to run and survive in this world where genuinely very creatively designed mahou shoujo go after them. I mean, can we just stop and admire these designs for a bit? Every single one of them is unique, creative, cute, or cool even. I love most of them, not all of them, most of them. I love most of them, which is really cool because there are like 100 different designs in this manga. I'm not going to go through this manga the same way I did with Sight because then we'll be here forever. But let me be honest and let me just say this. I like this manga a lot more than I did Mahou Shoujo Sight. The story, most of the characters, the pacing is a lot better than in Mahou Shoujo Sight. It starts out as a simple apocalypse survival manga with a group of teens, which is as creative as wearing a Survey Corps uniform in 2013. But in time, it goes to a time-traveling, universe-ending, Avengers-level threat kind of situation, which is intriguing. And it had a time-traveling plot which kind of made sense. Like, after a while, I've lost track of who is who and from which timeline they came from, and why are they doing the things they are doing, and yes, but it was fun and followable for a long while. Key and the other characters' connection to each other is really interesting, and there are a lot more memorable characters than in Sight. Or at least a lot deeper, if anything. There are characters you start by hating them, and later they become your favorite when you are like, I know I shouldn't like this character because he's sick and weird, but man, I can't help it, he's so cool. Yeah, that was maybe this Johnny who showed up in Sight too. It's a little messy, but if you think that a magical girl apocalypse could be fun, then go for it. Read it. I dare you. I really wish I had more time to talk about this manga because it's something that's really under the radar for most people. I'm not saying it's like some high-end masterpiece, but it definitely has its moments when it shines. But really the one important thing that you need to take away is that you need to read this manga too in order to understand the ending of Mahou Shoujo Sight. Because Mahou Shoujo Sight is a sequel to Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse. But you only know this once you are already at the 126th chapter out of the 139, which on one hand is a genius way to promote your previous work, and to be fair, it did make me read Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse too, but on the other hand, it's a pretty shady way of marketing, and I don't know how many people actually went back to read Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse after reading Sight. Okay, but what is this so-called ending in this manga? So, imagine this. Aya and the others are fighting tooth and nail and nose hair against the admins. But oh no, it's too late! The king already consumed enough negative energy to fire the Death Star and destroy the planet. The world is going to end! There is only one person who can help. Miss Love and Care herself. The Messiah. The pure reincarnation of peace and happiness. Asagiri Aya. She learns that the leader of the admins, Ichi, is just an AI, who is disappointed in humans so he wants to end the world. And I'm not exaggerating when I say she is Jesus. Right before the big fight, Aya says to his jackass brother that she will protect him, like she always done. Turns out, she knew all about their abusive father, which is fair, but then she claims that she let his brother torture her because she knew that's what he needed to get good grades, so their dad won't be mad. There has been retcons before this, but why? We've never seen this side of Aya. She always covered before everyone in the beginning of the story. And yeah, she grew out of it, but at the beginning she was nothing like this. Oh, and one more thing. On the verge of death and total annihilation, Aya just learns how to time travel, I guess? Up until this point, Aya's powers went from a simple teleport to wherever she had an emotional change, to a teleport to anywhere, to thought transfer, to life energy transfer, to being able to cure admins and giving them back their human form, to time travel! And because Sato Kentaro somehow had to make the ending other than boom, he had to find something. And that something was time travel. She goes back in time and teleports around space and time to save everyone from the fate they suffered originally, making her the only ill-fated girl in all of Japan, so she's the only one to ever get a wand. And she gathers an army of herself, searching for the perfect wand, which she finds in the form of Yatsumura's time-stopping wand, which helps her to rebuild the planet at the moment of the explosion. I'm leaving out a lot of details of how is it even possible, and where Ichi, the Agent 47 of the admins comes into all of this, but this video is long enough as it is about a manga no one cares about, and I've already spoiled half of the story anyway, but at least with me leaving out the other half you will have a reason to read it yourself. So Aya rebuilds the world like a Lego set and revives everyone. Why? I hate this. It's like the whole story didn't happen, no deaths ever happened, everyone is living a happy life, and contrary to the original timeline, here no one is mentally deranged. The brother is normal and doesn't have a god complex, the dad is happy with his family. It's the most perfect happy ending you could ask for. And that was exactly what Sato Kentaro wanted. At the end of the manga, he wrote that literally all that was decided was that the manga is going to have a happy ending no matter what. So in that regard, he succeeded. Even the anime could have been bigger if they didn't mess up the ending. The story was completely different because they wanted to conclude the story in one season. But it kind of feels like they had bigger plans with the anime. Before the anime release, they made a little game show. I don't know, it was a little weird and it felt forced, but after that in March they had a live show called Magical Festa where they played games. Because nothing fits better for an anime about depressed girls than a happy activity game show, I guess. But yeah, the second season couldn't even happen because the story deviated from the manga way too much. They had a few pop-up stores in Japan, but that's it. As for Sato Kentaro, he still makes manga. Right now, he's publishing Fushito Batsu, or Immortality and Punishment, and Bokura no Natsuga Saketeiku, or Summer's Gonna Tear Us Apart. But I don't know anything about them. But for what I've gathered from the two mangas I read from him, I can tell he likes dark stuff. Not especially to tell something deep and important, but to show something interesting. Something with a shock factor. As Sato said himself, Magical Girl of the End was a story of panic and horror. And Mao Shoujo's side didn't stray away from that path either. And looking at the titles of his recent works, I don't think they are happy stories either. I like the worlds of how they operate in both of his works. The fact that only depressed girls get wand, who has nothing to live for, and they get godlike powers is amazing. Same with Mao Shoujo Apocalypse. The world is really fun and interesting, but the twists out of nowhere are really dumb. You just can't make twists out of nowhere. It's like if at the end of Naruto, aliens would invade Earth. Would that be a good twist? Yes. Would it make sense in context of the show? Not at all. But I still think he's a creative mangaka with amazing art. What is the overall message and conclusion of this whole manga? Be happy. And not the dumb way like, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one remembers to turn on the light. Okay, you can turn off the light now, it's getting way too bright on here. Okay, then don't. But in the way like, even in your darkest time, seeking help from others is important. Connect to people that can elevate you instead of dragging you down. And if you feel like there is no tomorrow and there is nothing you can do, believe me, there is. It may and does sound cliche, but it's true. You only have so long on this planet. Make the best out of it. Seek help from friends, family, or any professionals if needed. But it has to be you who makes the first step towards changing. I mean, at the end, Aya did everything by herself without any of her friends' help, so maybe the message is to suck it up and become God. Maybe. Who knows? But if by any chance you enjoyed me rambling about this manga, then please like and subscribe, because it would mean a lot to me and it would help me out a lot. Alright, have a nice day, bye!